Good morning. It is bright and early. The team is assembled. We are in for a big day of gardening here on the front patio. As you can see, Mum is putting in the stepping stones there. We've got all the pots to plant up today. Having a bit of a rejig of a number of the pots as well, just making sure we're happy on the placement. Lots of plants to get in. It's going to be a busy morning, I think, and I thought I would bring you along with us. The sun isn't great for being able to see it, but we ended up only needing 2 stepping stones, and so basically it's just so that it sort of goes down and then you can get down to the lower level there. And then the idea is we'll kind of try and maybe plant up now in this section here. So I might have a little wander around and see what plants I can find. It's sort of it's a tough spot in summer. This would get full sun, but because of the angle in the sun in winter, it gets a little bit of shade. So I'll see what I've got that's hardy, that might not mind full sun, because it will get full sun in the summer in like the intense heat. So it probably needs to be something quite hardy. I will need to keep in mind there is a little irrigation point here, so we want to try and keep something low directly around the irrigation, just so that that sprinkler can get everywhere it needs to go. Still super happy with how this pot is looking here. I think it's really completed this area. Very pleased. So if you have been following along with the last few vlogs, you will know I have got heaps and heaps of plants here around the sort of potting shed nursery side to go in. So this is what I'm talking about. I've got this little selection here of things that I can pick from. I've got garlic chives, and I've got marigolds that are going to be underplanting the citrus trees we're planting up today. But I wouldn't mind potentially, so like even something like those, gosh, these are so pretty. Oh, there we go. Oh, gosh, they're pretty. But we've got some of the mighty bloom. They're quite nice. And see, they're a full sun to part shade. They're 1 meter by 1 meter, so that's a possibility. But I've also got a few of these, and they're a full sun, part shade, and they get 80, and they get these little gorgeous pink flowers on them. Ooh, hardy shrub. That could be very good for that area. If you can hear that sound, is my washing machine. I'm on my second load of washing this morning. It's been a very productive morning so far. So maybe one of these would be really nice out there. I've got a few of these already in that new garden bed that we planted up, maybe not last week, the week before. So maybe one of these would be quite nice. Those leaves are very pretty, nice and glossy. So maybe I'll take that out, and then I might take a few of these out. They're the dwarf. Hold on, let me find your label. The dwarf delphiniums there, and they're going to go in a pot. I don't know, maybe we could fit like 2 in a pot. There, you're getting that much better there. Look at that. The flowers are gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I think maybe 2 in, I will have some spare wooden pots. So maybe 2 of those could go out. That could be nice. And then if I need to, the mighty bloom could also go out there. I need to take out the marigolds, and then the other thing, and if you're wondering, last week I did end up buying these. They are going to be replacing the wisteria, but that's something for another day. What else have I got here? I've got some of these gorgeous lavender Spanish eyes. That's going to go out there as well in front of the water feature. So I'm going to take that out. And then I've got, for underplanting purposes, I've got these garlic chives. So I'm going to pop you in my pocket. I am. So I've actually popped 2. It's quite a significant gap here, and I do like it to be nice and full to hide the weeds. So I've got 2 of these ones that I just showed you. The hedge edge dwarf pink. They'll be pretty when they're in flower, the pretty pale pink. And so that'll kind of just fill in this section here. And then we've got the pink hydrangea. And I think that's kind of it. I mean, eventually, if I wanted one day, you could kind of get something here, like a bit of a low growing sort of shrub, I suppose. But then I worry it's going to grow over the steps and that'll be annoying. But yes, so they're going to go in there, and I'm going to kind of keep going around and bringing around all the other plants for today. So Mum has planted up those 2, and at this stage that's probably it for here. I think we just need to wait and see throughout sort of spring, gosh, the lighting, throughout spring and that, how this all sort of fills in, whether, I don't think it's going to need anything else. What we will need to do is just lift this sprinkler head, lift it up just so it can kind of get over the top of the plants, and then that should fill in the gap here. But I've also brought around pretty much the majority. Let me stand on this side. The sun's. So this is pretty much everything I'm hoping to plant in today, plus transplant the navel orange from the orchard. So I think what we might do first is the rosemary. So I've got 2 of the Tuscan Blue rosemaries. We spoke about this a few weeks back. These pots here have got jasmine in them, and they've not liked it. It's been way too hot on this patio, but I did still want something nice and green on this wall that was really hardy, and I briefly considered like an arborvitae or something, but I'm worried about them as well being like hardy enough. But rosemary is known for being very hardy. So we are going to be taking out the rosemary from this one and from this one here as well. These trellises are actually going to be repurposed for a climbing rose somewhere else, and these will have 1 in each of these pots. So that's probably going to be the next plan of action, I think. I'm really wanting to do a little bit something different with the potting mix. Rosemary needs really good draining soil, so I've got perlite and I've got pine bark mulch. I'm going to try and mix, which we'll do together. I will mix that through the potting mix just to try and get some additional drainage, and we'll get those all planted up. Alright, brief intermission to hang out the washing and put the next washing on, and also to dig up the navel orange that was in the orchard that needed to be moved. Oh, I hope she's going to make it. Tried to get as big of a root ball as we could, but you can kind of see she was starting to get little new growth already, and then she was getting, look, she had flower buds. Oh, poor thing. I'll try and get like a seaweed fertilizer. I think that really helps with like to stabilize roots. Oh, fingers crossed that she makes it. She was right in the walkway in the orchard. It was a bad placement on our sort of part, but yeah, now we have all of the plants ready to go. Now that we've got the orange out of the ground, we might just get that one in first. So this is its pot, and I just wanted to show you, we've got pine bark mulch, we've got organic potting mix, and then I've got the perlite, which is like a volcanic rock basically. It's a bit of a volcanic rock that explodes, and it just, as you can see, improves aeration and drainage in the soil. Pretty much all the citrus and the rosemary we're planting today, the lavender as well, they like a lot of drainage. They don't like to have wet feet. So what we'll do is, Mum, do you want to... So we've got the pot here. Mum is going to demonstrate for us. To try and mix it through, we're just going to do like a layer of the potting mix. And then the pine bark mulch. and then some of the perlite. And then just basically mixing it through like that. And then we'll do like another kind of layer until the pot's fairly, we don't want to obviously fill it all the way to the top, but until the pot's of, you know, an appropriate amount full. So we're basically just going to work through and do that, but that's going to be the mix that we do for most of the things today. As I said, the citrus, the rosemary, the lavender, all of that. So I won't keep showing you the same thing because otherwise it'll just get a bit tedious for you, but that's generally our process. So I might just pop you up somewhere and we're just going to get stuck into this and get this pot done. Okay, pot is almost full. We're going to get are you right to lift the... As I said, we did the best we could. We obviously severed some of the roots when we were getting it out, but we did the best we could for her. And she's in. And then we'll kind of just go around working in, kind of like topping up where we can to sort of even it up. And then I've got a little bit of like edge planting that I'm wanting to do with the marigolds and the garlic chives, just to help kind of protect the soil, and also it'll add nutrients and protect from pests and that in the soil. All right, so citrus is in. As I said, this is the navel orange, the dwarf navel orange, and then I've just got 3 of the sort of smaller size. I think they're the French marigolds. They don't get as big. And I've also got a little punnet of garlic chives. So marigolds and chives are both really good as a pest deterrent, but they also bring beneficial insects. So I'm hopeful that that will help her out in the time to come. And it'll also make the pot look a little bit prettier as well. So as you can see, we're just sort of digging a hole and we'll plant those in. Just trying to stick right to the edge because we want to try and keep around the root as free, like around the base of the trunk as free as possible. So we've just pushed them right to the edge. Otherwise you can get like trunk rot if you've got plants and that pushing right up against it. So we've got one of the citrus in. It's looking really nice. Nice and fresh. The marigolds add that sort of bright pop of colour, which is nice. Well, we're on a roll with the citrus, so we're just going to plant up the mandarin now. So this one here is the mandarin. So it's a dwarf Engall's seedless mandarin tree. I do have one of these in the orchard, so this will be the second one I have. And I'm hoping it's going to be happy up here. Like I said, it's a real sun trap here, but I think they'll make sort of quite a nice feature plants to have on this patio. And yeah, hopefully they'll be happy. But that's the next one we're going to try and get in. So both the citrus are in. They look so nice. Oh, I hope they're happy. I do worry about the orange because it got transplanted. We won't get fruit, obviously. I wouldn't have thought on either of these this year. And to be honest, if they tried to fruit, I think I'd just knock it off. But I might get a seaweed, like an organic seaweed solution from the garden centre and sort of give them a bit of a seaweed drench and hope that that helps to support the root growth. I think seaweed often will help with that root shock and strengthening the root system. So I think that that's maybe what we just work on over the next couple of weeks to get both of these settled. But we are going to start now on the just kind of getting mums over there with that one. I'll start to tackle this one here, trying to get the jasmine out, get the trellises out, and then we'll get the rosemary in. Other thing I thought I would mention is we picked up these garden trivet pot stands, and so I've got those under both of the citrus, and we're going to also put one under the rosemary. Gosh, I forgot what it was called then. Under the rosemary. So we've got one pot cleared of the jasmine. Goodness, that jasmine was clearly struggling here. I just don't think jasmine suits pots. I don't think they like being in a pot. I think they definitely prefer being in the ground. But these trivets is basically, you can see it's got like the little feet, and you sort of just put them in and it lifts the pot up so it's not standing in any water. Holds up to, I think it's 100 kilos or something like that. this size. But yeah, so hopefully they will help just to ensure that the plants don't get wet feet. So just starting the first rosemary pot. Whew. It's like volcanic dust stuff with the perlite. And we're just doing, as we did with the citrus, the same sort of mix, potting mix, some of the pine bark mulch, and then the perlite to try and make sure we've got that aeration going through the soil. One rosemary in. Next one is going in. We put the pot risers under them. We're just doing the mix. I need to go and get more soil, and then we'll do, as I said, same mix, perlite, pine bark, and soil. So we have just the dwarf delphiniums to go in on the sun deck, not sun deck, the front patio, but we are out now on the sun deck because the pot I want for the dwarf delphiniums is out here on the sun deck. So we're going to have a little rejig of the things on the sun deck to free up a pot to take that back out and then finish off the front patio. Okay, so we are on the sun deck near the gorgeous blue hydrangea, and basically for the delphinium I want this pot here, the wooden pot. So this pot had lemon balm and some sage in it, and it was just looking terrible. It was also a waste of a pot this size to have the lemon balm. The lemon balm had taken over, and basically when we tried to get it out, it was a sheet of lemon balm. So we've kind of taken it all out. Mum's just adding in more soil. We've done the mix of the bark and the perlite, and then we're going to try and consolidate the pots here. So there's 2 snap capsicums and a little pineapple. We're going to just try and put them all in here to kind of get rid of the clutter of the pots. And then we'll have this one here ready to go out to the front patio and finish that planting off. I did save this little bit of lemon balm here and like its roots, and I might just give it a really good like prune back and plant it up somewhere like in a pot, and we'll just see if I can get it to grow again. I do like having the lemon balm in my tea, but just in a much smaller pot. It sort of got away from me in that really large pot, so I'll see if I can find something else suitable for this. When we were replanting the snap capsicum, we saw they had 2 little snap capsicums on them. Heavy, was it? Mum's just picked up something that she thought was light. But they had like 2 little capsicums. Snack capsicums on them. You can see they're like snacking size. So I shall take them inside, but for now this is how this area is looking on the sun deck. I've just got the lemon balm, so as I said, I saved like a little portion of it and just gave it a really brutal prune, and I've just potted it up. We'll just see. We'll wait and see if it comes back. It's pretty hardy lemon balm, so I'm quietly optimistic, I think, that it might come back. And this is just a much more appropriate size pot. If it fills this, and it's fine. But having it fill this entire pot with lemon balm just is overkill. And we've got the 3 little snap capsicum plants in there, as well as a little pineapple, just to consolidate this area of pots. So we're going to whip around and plant up those last delphiniums. And then I think, so we've run out of everything. I've got no potting soil, I've got nothing left. So I'm thinking maybe I'll make lunch for Mum and I. We might have some lunch, and we might actually head to the garden centre and just get some potting soil and maybe a few other little bits and bobs. And then that way tomorrow we can kind of come back and finish off this sun deck. So the front patio will be finished today, but the sun deck area can get finished off tomorrow. I want to replant these jasmine somewhere else. The hydrangea's just not doing great here, so I think I might pull this out and put it around the nursery side and see if I can kind of nurse it back to health and pop in a Spanish Eyes lavender in here. And then there is another jasmine just here, so we'll do that as well. And then I've got 2 rosemary, the blue Tuscan rosemary, to put on either side here. But we'll probably do that tomorrow once we've got the additional sort of bits and bobs. I'm just going to kind of clean up my area here, and then we'll head around, plant up the very last plant of today. Probably doesn't seem like it to you, but it has been hours and hours and hours. It is very difficult as well, I must say, to put you on a tripod out at the front patio because of the location, and obviously just to protect my privacy and security. It's an odd place to set the tripod up. So sorry if you sort of missed seeing me plant up things, but we definitely planted together not last week, the week before, I'm pretty sure, when we were doing that garden bed. Gosh, they're so beautiful. The colour, it's like a pinky lilac. Beautiful roses. All right, break time is over. I'm going to clean up my mess, plant the last thing, and we're going to have some lunch. Okay, lunch has been had, and we are at the garden centre, as you can see, just having a little look around. Okay, we've picked up 8 bags of the organic potting mix, and I also picked up, I saw they have this eco organic seaweed mix, and it's just like a powder that you mix up, and it should help the citrus that we've just planted up today kind of establish their root systems. So hopefully that's good. Alrighty, soil is in, seaweed mixture is secured. Can't wait to try that out tomorrow. That should be really good. And we're going to head home now. I'll give you a quick tour around the patio, and then tomorrow we'll get started on the sun deck using all of this soil. Back home from the garden centre, I've got all the potting soil ready to go for tomorrow, and I thought I would give you a very quick current state now that the paths have been all sort of leaf blown and they're looking really good. I'm basically just going to give everything a really good drink of water that I planted up today. But while we've got the better lighting, I thought I would share how it's looking. I'm very, very happy with it. So this corner, not too much of a change there today, but we had the jasmine, the climbing jasmine in here, and that's come out, and we've got a gorgeous rosemary, Tuscan Blue. Usually they get about 1.5 to 2 meters, so we definitely will get some height here. And normally at this time of year, if it was a more mature plant, you would have gorgeous blue flowers like the one in my kitchen garden bed has. So eventually it'll fill out the pot and should look really beautiful. Hopefully it's going to be hardy for this concrete deck, like this patio here, because it is quite a sun trap. It heats up something wild. Then what else happened? Swapped a few pots here. We sort of had this little kind of conifer moved here, and then over here this one was on the corner. I've just sort of swapped them around a little bit. This actually looks really nice. And then we've got the very beautifully planted up citrus. I think they look so beautiful at the moment. Underplantings look really nice. We've got the marigolds, like the 3 marigolds, and then the 6 garlic chives. They'll obviously be standing tall once they get settled in, and I'm really hopeful that the citrus are going to like this position. It is full sun, they'll get some good air circulation, and I'm hoping that the garden bed behind them will provide them with a bit of shielding on the back of their pots here, so the pots won't heat up so much on the patio. But they are both looking really good. So this is the Engall's dwarf seedless mandarin. I mean, she was very healthy when she arrived. This is the one that we unboxed last week together. And then we've got the marigolds. You've got sort of the bee marigold there with the multicolour. And then the traditional kind of yellow and orange. And then this is the navel Washington, so dwarf Washington navel orange that has been transplanted from the orchard. Fingers crossed that she makes it. I'm always so worried about transplanting the fruit trees. Citrus tend to be pretty hardy, so I'm hopeful that she will be okay. It was also not a very old tree. I think it maybe got planted in the orchard last September. So it hadn't even really been in there for a year yet, and we did try and keep as much of the root ball as possible. But again, same kind of underplantings. We've got the gorgeous little marigolds, the oranges and yellows with that garlic chives. They'll all fill out and they should look really pretty, and as I said, also just be great for the soil and as a pest deterrent. We have the 2, the name escapes me now, they're like the hedging plant, the 80 centimetre hedging plant. They get the little pink flowers on them. They'll eventually fill in this whole section here, which will be beautiful. We've got the stepping stones that go down to this bigger one, down to the lower level. Hydrangea is looking gorgeous there. She is a lace cap hydrangea. And at the moment her flowers are fairly sort of pink and white. but she's got quite a few flower heads. So she's obviously liking that spot. But that's looking so much better, nice and tidy, a little bit of structure there, and just practical structure, which I love. So being able to kind of walk off from this patio and then kind of walk down and access that lower level, I think that's just, yeah, really handy. And it kind of creates the framing here with the citrus and this little collection of pots, really creates like a bit of a walkway, which is nice. And we've got this pretty little collection of pots just in front of the water feature. You've got the Spanish Eyes lavender that will eventually fill this out to bursting, but she's beautiful at the moment. Those little flowers, cannot wait for the bees to find her. And then the really pretty dwarf delphinium. This lighting is definitely better for picking up that gorgeous blue with like almost that little sort of inner yellow. They've got so many little buds all over them. So they're going to look really gorgeous in the coming weeks. This was already here. This bed is still looking really nice. And then in this corner here, we have the solar panel for the water feature. We've got the Tuscan Blue rosemary, again, just replacing that star jasmine that was on the big sort of structure there, the trellis there. Those trellises will be reused. And then we've got the double lavender here. So I'm very curious to see how this is going to look. So already got some little flowers starting. But that is current state. I actually heard back from, I got the third quote. I don't know if I've already told you this, but I've been trying to work out what we're going to do with this sort of concrete. I kind of want to just soften it a little bit. So I've had 3 trades sort of come out and quote. So I just need to, just winding back a moment. So this is pretty much all of the planting now done. In this area, I do not foresee any more planting unless something is struggling and needs to be changed out. So all the planting is done, all the pots are here now. So that's great. The next things to do will be the flooring. So as I was saying, I've got 3 quotes. I've got a couple of questions about them. So I'll ring and speak to the trades and then I'll pick one. And then this concrete patio is going to have a massive kind of spruce up. And then I'm looking at getting, we'll see when it gets here, but I'm looking at getting almost an outdoor rug for here. I think that that's going to look really beautiful. I also am on the lookout for new furniture. I want to replace this set with teak furniture, like wooden teak furniture. Wooden teak, it's basically an heirloom piece, teak furniture, and it's really easy to maintain. You don't need to oil or anything. So this is fine, obviously, for now. It's a really lovely place to come and sit and have breakfast or your lunch, but it's looking really gorgeous out here. Yep, on the lookout for some new teak furniture, similar to this little kind of bistro set, just 2 chairs and a table. And I also need an umbrella, a brand new umbrella. The stand is fine, but just the umbrella itself needs a good refresh. But that is current state today. I am going to head in. I've got bread in the oven, but I will probably see you tomorrow and we will just sort of finish up planting up the sun deck, I think. Good morning. Next day, we've got another gorgeous blue sky day. And basically just getting finished up on this sun deck. So the hydrangea, as I said yesterday, is going to go out into the nursery area. We're going to try one of the Spanish Eyes lavender in here. And then the 2 jasmine are going to come out. I think what we'll do is cut them down fairly low and then try and reposition them in pots somewhere else and see if we can get them to grow there. And then we've got some of the Tuscan Blue rosemary to put here and in the other, just on the other side as well. So that is what we're going to get up to this morning, try and get this done, and then that is the sun deck kind of refreshed up for now. That, and I'm constantly distracted by these. Gosh, they're so pretty. So the plants are slowly getting planted in, which is good. I'm just going to grab, these are the Spanish eyes. So I'll just grab one of those, and then we've got the 2 rosemary here at the back to come around. So I'm going to carry those around and we'll get them in. So similar to what we were doing yesterday, we've just got the organic potting mix with a combination of perlite and then the pine bark, mixing that through. We'll be doing that for both the Spanish eyes lavender and the rosemary. It just, all 3 of these like really good drainage. So we just want to make sure that the pots have aeration and good drainage. So we have one off of its little trellis. The Spanish eyes is in and looking nice and fresh there. Beautiful. I'm actually really hopeful. It's full sun part shade, so fingers crossed it likes this location. This one here has just been cut off. You can see we've taken out half of the jasmine, and Mum is currently trying to transplant it onto the kitchen patio. Got some pots that kind of climb up and around, so she's seeing what kind of magic she can weave with getting them, not wasting the jasmine. I don't want to just throw it away. It's not worked here, but hopefully it will work in a different location. And basically what I'm doing is trying to, there's metal, I'm going to pull this out in a second, but there's metal behind here, like the structures. So I'm trying to keep them. I've just pulled that off, so that can go in the green bin. And then you can see, hopefully, I've got that down there in the orchard. So that's one. I've got 3 more to go, and they're going to be repurposed in the orchard for something hopefully very pretty and whimsical and romantic looking. But I'm going to pull this other one out now and get to unweaving the jasmine. All right, we've got one out. It was a mission. They were very, very root bound in there. Mum's just planting up the rosemary. It looks good. That I feel like it, oh no. I wondered if it needed to come, yeah, yep. Just trying to center it in the pot. That's better. That, and I will just give a shout out to these gardening overalls. I don't know how Mum feels about her green ones, but I've got my blue ones on again today. I'm actually really enjoying wearing them. The pockets. Who would have thought I would use the pockets as much as what I have, you know? These scissors basically travel around everywhere for opening bags. They've been living in the pockets. I put my camera in my pocket. I've got my gloves in my pocket if I've taken them off. It's really handy. And the zipper at the front, it's got like a zipper here at the front. Take them on and off. Brilliant. Do you like yours, Mum? I do. They're just, I'm actually really enjoying them so far. Hello. Oh. What would you like? Nothing. I was just going to say, while Mum's potting that up, I've actually just brought out the hedge trimmer, and I'm going to try and give the night jasmine a really good prune back very quickly now. It's green bin this week for us, so I am going to get that done, and then we'll no doubt be tackling the last pot on the sun deck. It probably won't look like much to you, but this is the night jasmine right here. It is a bit of a privacy screening for me. But I've just given that a really good trim back, and very happy with how that is looking. I've been meaning to do that for like the last 2 months. So pleased to tick that off the list. So the last Tuscan Blue raspberry. Hi. I've just been talking about the raspberry, that's why. The last Tuscan Blue rosemary is in its pot, and I have to say it is looking so much tidier here now. In saying that, obviously there's a big mess here. We need to pack up all of our stuff, and we need to give it a really good sort of clean down, get the leaf blower out, blow all the dirt and all that off. but it's looking much fresher. And hopefully all the plants, this is again a bit of a sun trap in the afternoon and it gets blisteringly hot. So hopefully these plants that we've planted, like the lavender and the rosemary, will like it, and they might be a little bit hardier in these sort of places. So I am going to start to tidy up the mess, try and get all this into the green waste. And then that's kind of it for the sun deck planting. Trying to keep it nice and simple at this stage. I do have some plans and I'm hopeful that they will eventuate and that will affect the sun deck. So that's the bit of a spruce up now. Similarly, I'm wanting to get this concrete cleaned here because it's very dirty. But anyway, that's all stuff coming up for another day, but I feel like we have achieved a lot. We've tried the best we can to save those jasmine, so we'll just kind of wait and see how they go. But yeah, all right, I'm going to pack all of this up, and then what I might do is maybe when the sun's a little bit, I don't know if we'll get better sun. But basically, this is what it's looking like at this stage. It's all a little bit wild and wonderful here. This is going really well. This is fully filling in those gaps, which is nice. And it's starting to flower. It gets really pretty purple, if it will focus. There you go. Really pretty sort of, I mean, it kind of comes across as pink, but it's almost a pinky, fluoro-y purple colour. And the leaf colour is really nice for a bit of difference because it's got the darker leaf and everything else is like the lighter green. It's just quite a nice sort of pop of colour in this crepe myrtle bed. Anywho, I think that might be it. For this video. I think we're just going to kind of get everything tidied up, cleaned up, and then maybe have a bit of a chilled the rest of the afternoon. Next week we are heading down into the orchard, so I do hope you will join me for that. It's been a year, pretty much, almost a year pretty much for the orchard. I think we started the orchard project September last year, and so I've had a sort of a year to live with it. And it's been brilliant, but I've learned a lot, and so I'm just really wanting to do a bit of a spruce up down there. There's a few things that I want to change, move around, and that is basically, I'd say it's not all going to be in one video. I think it's going to take some time to do, given what I'm wanting to achieve down there. We've already we've moved the navel orange out of a pathway, so that's a good first step. But anywho, I will see you next Wednesday. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you kind of just enjoyed spending yesterday and today with me as we sort of potted about the garden and just got some very important gardening jobs done. Bye.